I woke up this morning and I walked through to the bathroom and the bathroom window was open overnight and all I could hear was the pouring rain. It was like bouncing off the ground. It didn't last long, like 15-20 minutes. But in that moment, all I wanted to do was like put on a cozy movie and like sit on the sofa and knit all day. So I think it's finally time. I think, I don't want to wish away the summer, but I think it's time to talk about autumn, winter knitting plans. Hello, I'm Rebecca, I'm a knitter, knitting pattern designer, and I'm doing a lot of knitting at the moment, and I've already started some of my upcoming knits for the upcoming season, but I sat down this week and I made a little list of the things I'm planning to knit, the things I want to cast on. I've got some things that I've got yarn for and I don't know what the yarn's going to become. I've got some like big plans that I think are a little bit wacky, but I am very much excited about them. And so I thought I could sit down and have a little chat about them. And do some knitting while I'm at it, which is something a little bit new for me and I'm very excited. Before I jump in, I do have a new pattern launching today. It is my LUCE, L-U-C-E. It is a vest, but of course because I can't help myself, it comes with a sleeve modification. I never release patterns in August, it's like kind of a rule, but this jumped on my needles like late in the summer game and I just broke my own rules for this one. And I'm so glad I did because it seems to be, I shared a little sneak peek of this on Monday and people seem to be so excited for it, which is always nice when you make something and people are excited to knit it. I made this version, this is the round neck like vest, classic vest, and I made it in Filcolana Peruvian Highland wool. I also made the cardigan version, which is a round neck, in Cascade 220, and then because I'm still hoping we're going to get like a little bit of sunny weather still, I have a summer weight version, or a summer version of the same pattern. It is the v-neck, and that one is in knitting for olive wool and cotton. So the day we took photos, which was just last Sunday, we went to the park and it was raining, and it just stopped raining. And then I put on the vest for the photos, and in the close-up of the photos I'm covered in goosebumps because it was so cold. But it's fine, it's fine. We're gonna get a few more of those days before I'm fully into jumper season, but that's okay. So yeah, LUCE is on Ravelry, my website. There's a link down below. You can get 10% off until Sunday evening if you also want to make a LUCE vest. Okay, I'm so excited. I have a list. I categorized it into a few sections. I have things that are already on my needles. I have things that are not on my needles yet, but I'm planning to cast on. I've got a couple of book patterns that I want to talk about because I'm planning some second samples between now and November 28th. And I've got a few things where I've got the yarn and I don't know what it's going to become. Okay, let's start with what's on my needles, and I'm going to start with literally what I'm knitting on right now. This is the Tain, T-A-I-N. I'll put a picture here. This pattern came out in Ravelry? In Lina's 52 Weeks of Sweaters. I think that came out in March. Maybe more early March. It is a top-down raglan with like half fisherman's rib detailing. And the way things work with those books is that 5 months after they get published, you get the rights back and you get to publish them yourself. So that passed in like July sometime, and I obviously have not released it yet as an individual pattern. My plan is to do so in 2 weeks. Friday the 28th of August will be my annual birthday sale, and I thought it'd be fun to release the pattern in time for that birthday sale, and so I'm working up another sample. There was a little bit of feedback like since the pattern was launched. It was a really popular pattern in the book. I think it was like the second most popular pattern in that book. And some people got confused by the short rows. It's in half fisherman's rib in short rows, and so I thought, you know what, I could just change the method of short rows that I used, and that way it hopefully will just be clearer for everyone. So I'm going to do that. I also used a really rustic yarn for my original sample, and so the high half fisherman's rib collar works really well, but if you use a drapier yarn, I think it struggles to hold that structure. So I thought I would try a version with a plain ribbed collar, and I think I'm going to fold this over. So I'm working away on that. This is what it currently looks like. I split for sleeves. It is an 18 stitch gauge, so it's knitting up pretty quickly, and every once in a while I've not knit a plain raglan in the round, and then I knit one and I just like, the stars align and like the birds sing, and like I feel so joyful and happy because I just love a raglan in the round. It's my favourite thing to knit. I am using my current favourite yarn. This is Sandnesgarn Atlas. It is 108 meters per 50 grams, but I find that it knits up quite dense. So it's technically thinner, like you get more yardage per 50 grams than pure Gynt, but I would comfortably, like I can knit pure Gynt to like a 20 stitch gauge. I can't really knit this much tighter than 18. I think I've seen some patterns with it 20, but for me it's like a little bit thicker, like a more like an 18 stitch gauge, and I really love it. I used it for a book pattern. That was the first time I used it, and more on that to come because I've got another book pattern. Like I'm going to make a second sample of that pattern in this again, and I actually just got another order of this yarn today, which I completely forgot about including in my list because I impulse ordered it. I don't know what colour this is. I did just aggressively pull the button band off. I mean, grey melange is the colour. It's beautiful. It's got a really nice, like, it's like a pale grey with a nice fleck. And this is kind of crazy to me, but I don't have a plain grey sweater. I got a grey cable knit sweater. I've got a grey cardigan. I've got a grey Colourwork sweater. So yeah, I have options, but I don't think I've got a plain grey, plain raglan sweater. So I'm excited to wear this. And that is my first thing on my needles. I do need to get a move on because I do have to knit the body and 2 sleeves in like a week and a half, like 10 days, but I think that should be fine. I've got one more deadline knit to get finished, and then this will be like my primary knit for a little while. And that is going to be winter knit number 1. Knit number 2 is technically also already started, although I've done like this much. I've done barely any. It is Struan. That is a pattern coming out in September. I finished my first sample. I'll put a picture of it here. It is a zipper sweater in like multi-gender fit options, and it's currently in testing. It's been testing for a while. It's got a zip, and people get quite apprehensive about zips. I say this as someone who's got another pattern with a zip on it, and so I wanted to give this an option of also having a button band, and I wanted to design it so that you could still try the zipper. If you didn't like it, you could like bail at the very last minute and add a button band. But I thought it would be good to show what that button band looked like. So I already have 2 samples. I've got my orange sample, I have a beige sample which has just been posted to me today by my sample knitter, which I'm very excited for. And so I thought I would make a 3rd sample and use it to show the button band. This is the yarn I'm using. It is pure Gynt that I just talked about. It is the navy tweed. It's really beautiful. It's knitting up very nicely. I've used their tweed. I've actually don't think I've ever used pure Gynt tweed. I think I've used the tin pure Gynt tweed, but I don't think I've ever used the tweed on the regular base, and I think it's softer, which is interesting. Yeah, it's called navy brown tweed, and I am deciding to steek this. Now, I wouldn't really advise steeking the pattern if you want to try the zipper, just because you're going to have ends to worry about and there's like a facing on it. But if you know from the get-go that you want to knit the button band version, I think the steeking is fine. And honestly, I was so busy knitting this and I was enjoying it so much that I was like, I just want to knit a raglan in the round again. So I have done that, and I've put some extra stitches at the front neck, and I'm going to steek that when it comes to it. Again, I'm just enjoying like endless sea of stocking it at the moment. I feel like I had a lot of things recently that were worked back and forth, or worked in pattern, and so I'm very excited to just be working on this one. But like I say, I've done like this much, and it's gonna have like it's like a deep raglan. It's gonna have a thick button band, like a 5cm button band, and yeah, overall I'm enjoying it. I do need to keep it in mind because I think that's going to creep up on me, that deadline, like faster than I'm thinking. Like it is next month and I have not done very much of it yet. But that's okay. I feel like I can crack out stocking it in the round pretty quickly when I focus. And right now all I want to do is cast on everything, so I don't have any focus. But that's okay. That's what the next 5 weeks are for. I have the next one on my list. It's already on my needles, and it's absolutely not on my needles, so I don't really know where I made that up from. Maybe when I made the list I thought it would be on my needles by now. It is, I just folded the sweater, where did I put it? It is my Headed North pattern, also in testing. I'll put a photo of it here. This is like a drop shouldered sweater with this like chevron-y, in my head they look like mountains, and like pearl stitch on the front and the back, and it's got a cardigan version. Now I have not knit the cardigan version, I've knit the sweater and then it went to testing, and I have the yarn. I'll be using, is it right here? My office is organised chaos where the place is such a mess, but I somehow still know where everything is. I'm using this yarn. It is Roots by Junction Fibre Mill. I have a skein wound up and ready to go. I just need to sit down and focus for a little bit and get it done. I'm really excited. I think like a sort of chunky drop shouldered beige cardigan or like white cardigan is going to be really lovely. And I'm like envisioning it with like jeans and my Blundstone boots in the winter. I think it's going to be like chic but cozy, a little like mountainy in a fun way. Some of the testers have finished the cardigan version, so it's always a little weird when like the first version of the pattern is not my version, because I wrote the cardigan, but the numbers are all the same, so I'm not. It makes sense to have it at the same time, but it feels weird when the first version of it to exist is not the version I made. It's always a little strange. Did I do something funny there? Mostly this is a very easy pattern, but it is half fisherman's rib at some stages, and I feel like I'm yapping too much to properly concentrate on half fisherman's rib. It's alright, I can fix it. There we go. And so that one's getting cast on pretty soon. I have a sweater currently on my needles, which is for the next line of book, or not the next one, I think it's 2 away, 52 weeks of textured knits. I have the sleeve to finish, because the test knit starts on Monday. So if I get that sleeve finished, I will then, I think my reward for getting that finished, maybe tomorrow, will be casting on my Hidden North, because I think it's going to be really lovely. The back and the front are quite, like there's stuff going on, there's like a detail in the yoke, and it's got the, it gets to pay attention, and it's charted, and after that it's just stockinette. So I am, apparently, I feel like I'm really craving like cam, because I feel like when I want more camness, all I want to do is knit in stockinette. But that is not a bad thing, and I think I'm looking forward to like reading. I can read and knit stockinette at the same time, so I think I need to like get myself into a good book series and just do some reading and like just lose myself a little bit in the stockinette. I'll get bored of stockinette eventually, but hopefully not before I finish these next 3 patterns. And technically actually next 4 patterns, because I think the next thing I'm going to cast on after that is also going to be a lot of stockinette. That is the pattern which just went into testing. It is the Nollaig. This is my charity pattern this year, and every year I run a charity pattern. All the proceeds go to the Fistula Foundation. It's a charity I supported now. It's the 5th year in a row, I think. That's pretty cool. And it is a Christmas festive sweater with all these different colourwork motifs that you can like plug in. I made my first sample last year. My first one has these bows on it, which is super cute. But there are so many motifs in there, and this week I've convinced my siblings to do a photo shoot for the pattern, and we're going to do like an awkward family photo shoot in our Christmas sweaters. I'm very excited. I will have, I think, I've got a lot of siblings, but there will be 4 of them taking part in the photo shoot, and I promised, like, the bribery is that you can all get a Christmas sweater and they get to pick their colours and the motifs. I think it's funny because 2 of my sisters are twins, and the twins picked the inverse of each other, so they both picked snowflakes, like independently. They didn't see this, they didn't talk to each other about it, they sent me like separate messages, and they picked snowflakes, and one wants white with pink snowflakes and one wants pink with white snowflakes. And I just think this is funny because that's like, they're not very twinny, and then every once in a while they do something that's like weirdly twin telepathy like this. And one for my brother and one for my other sister. Now I think I'll knit one of them because I want to knit the pattern again. We've made some tweaks, some pretty big tweaks since the test had started, and I want to re-knit the pattern. I think the other versions I'll have sample knit because I just can't get that many sweaters cranked out with everything else going on. But I'm excited. The pattern doesn't come out until November, so I have a little while, and honestly right now in August I have no interest in casting on a Christmas sweater. But I think I will once I see some more tester versions getting like finished up. Some are already done. I think that'll be fun. I think the version I want to make is the wreaths. I have to decide if I want to do wreaths with baubles or wreaths with colourwork, because both are an option in the pattern. I think also what's holding me back is something which you fortunately cannot see, is that over there is chaos. It's even worse because the stuff was on the sofa I'm sitting on, and I cleared it off the sofa and just like threw it in that corner. We have got a yarn swap with my knit night in early, or sometime in September, I actually can't remember the date. Sometime in September we've got yarn swap, and that is always like a deadline for me to clear out this room and get rid of some yarn that I'm not using. But I think for my Christmas sweater I've been looking for some scraps. I think I want to do like a white or an off-white main colour, and then the green and the red, and I'm pretty sure I'll have at least a ball of green with matching mohair and a ball of red with matching mohair, which should be enough for the colourwork. And I'd like to find that so I don't have to buy more yarn, or at least I can use up yarn I've got. so I'm not going to cast it on until I've done the cleaning up of this room, which is still a while away. But that'll be fun. I'm pretty like strict with myself about Christmas. I am not allowed to watch any Christmas movies until December 1st. I don't know where this rule came from, but it's a rule I stand by now. And of course we'll be doing photos in October, so like late October. So really I'm going to have to just get over myself and knit the Christmas jumper early. But maybe I'll knit a second one in December, because this year I'm not releasing any patterns in December. I've pushed my December pattern back. I've decided to take a little break from my book will come out at the end of November, and I'm just going to cruise. I'll have some test knits running obviously, because I likely will have a January pattern, but I've decided to take December off from pattern releases, and so maybe I will treat myself to another Christmas cast on. However, I also have a plan for a slightly chaotic cast on I really want to do. More on that coming, and so maybe that's what I'll do in December. Okay, now I have too many options. My last thing to talk about is the pattern that was going to come out in December, and that is a pattern that has been on ice since most of this year. It is called Taynish. It's a cable knit pattern, and it's a drop shoulder cable knit, and I am like halfway through the body, I think. I put a photo of it here. This was the sister pattern to another pattern that I released this year called Aran, and it's a cable knit pattern, and it's so fun to knit. I'm knitting it up in Cascade 220, but the plan originally was I would release that one and Aran at the same time, and then I decided that was more work than I really like could take on. It was when I got used to the book, it all felt like a bit much. I decided to put that one on ice. And then Taynish has just sort of crept back and back and back over this autumn. And then now it's my December pattern, and now I'm not doing December pattern. So, I mean, I want to get that finished and then decide where it's going to go. There's something quite comforting about having like a pattern you're just sitting on that's just like finding the right time and space for it. I've also committed to doing a little project with a yarn dyer spinner. I don't think they dye, I think they just producer, I guess, using the same stitch pattern, and I've committed to that one, so that one has to get made, and I think I'll probably do that design first and then see how I'm feeling about the stitch pattern, and if it reignites my love for the stitch pattern, then I'll jump straight back into the sweater. There's also a chance that I finish it and I'm like sick of the stitch pattern all over again. I don't think that's gonna happen, but it's all over like ribbon cables, so it's like relatively labour intensive, although maybe after my 16 plain stockinette projects, that's exactly what I'll be looking for. And so yeah, TBD on that one. I don't know, I get asked every couple of, I don't know, maybe like once a month or once every 6 weeks, someone like drops me an Instagram message and is like, hi, like what's happening with that pattern? And I have to respond and be like, I actually have no idea, which is unlike me because I'm usually pretty organised. I could release it in January. I guess here's the plan. I have a vague idea that what my January pattern would be, and I have a vague concept that's like not even an idea, but like a maybe baby whatever of February's pattern. So like maybe it's a March pattern, or maybe I move them both down a month and release it in January. I don't know. Sometimes I get everything in my head about when patterns should launch and what it really like, when's the right time, and I ultimately think that if a knitter wants the pattern they'll buy it any time of the year. But I just need to like think about that a little bit, and I've not really had a whole lot of brain space in the last 6 months. That is because I designed 18 patterns for a book and ran 18 test knits and also developed all my normal pattern schedule around that, so I feel like I'm on a little bit empty up in the old noggin. But it's nice to know it's there and it's ready, and I'll get round to it at some point. And it's in my favourite yarn, Cascade 220, so I think I'll enjoy it. I taught a class last week at one of my local yarn stores, Fibre Yard, and it's an introduction to cables class, and I have, since I finished that class, been itching to cast on cables. And if I'm being honest, the smart thing to do would be to pick that up and finish that whip, but that's not what I'm going to do. Because I never said I was smart. Yeah, so that's not what I've done, but it's okay. I will get round to it at some point. So there we go. Those are kind of like firm plans. Those exist. They've got deadlines. They need to happen at some point. Let me talk about then book patterns. And then I've got things that aren't on my needles yet, but I think are going to be on my needles. That includes some stuff that might be like January, February time. And then I've got 2 sets of yarn that I'm like vaguely aware of what I'm doing with them, but not fully decided. So, book comes out late November. It is penciled in for November 26th. I've not told anyone that. November 26th. And I've actually not even confirmed if that's like actually fixed date, but that's what I've told myself. I mean, that's what I was told it was going to be, and I'm sticking to that date. Late November the book comes out, which is great. And I would like to have a couple of extra samples of some projects which I just really love, and I want a few more colourways, and like they would be nice to have. There are, I think, 4 patterns. Is that right? Yes, there are 4 patterns that I would like an extra sample of. Some of them I already have extra samples of. My camera overheated and then I got excited, or I'm not excited, I got distracted by TikTok. Okay, book patterns. There are 18 patterns in the book. 12 garments, 6 accessories. All of the 12 garments, there are a few where I would like an additional sample. These are not like burning, pressing, urgent, but I really want them, so I'm trying to let that happen. The first one is possibly my favourite pattern in the book, which I feel like I shouldn't say because they're like my children. Blood, sweat and tears went into all 18 of the patterns, I can guarantee you that. But this is called Crinnan, and it is a drop shouldered textured knit, all over knit and pearl texture, high rolled neckline. Oh, it's so good. I feel like the coolest version of myself when I wear this sweater, and I finished the first sample and I thought I have to cast on a second one of this because I cannot stop wearing it, and I can't let this yarn what pills. Now it's not pilled at all, despite me wearing it loads. It is in Jamiesons Shetland Aran. First time I used it was for this pattern. I bought some a while ago at Really Good Gathering, I think 2 years ago, and oh my goodness me, it's beautiful. I really love it. My book sample is up in ivory, and I bought a sweater quantity of the copper colour. I don't know if it's called that, but it's a coppery orange, and I'm working on wearing the yoke. I've sized down because since taking the photos, it's like verging on excessively oversized in the photos, and it is now very, very oversized, but I love it. But I think it's also nice to have one that's not got, like, I think right now it's got like 30 centimetres of positive ease, which is a lot of positive ease. So I thought I would knit the size 1 down just to like also showcase the fit with it being slightly more fitted. I have almost finished the yoke. It's annoying because I want to knit on it all day every day, but I also have other things with actual proper deadlines, so it's not making that much progress. But I'd like to get the body done by the end of August, if that is an option, because I know I'm going to wear the heck out of this sweater. That is number 1. Number 2, there is another roll neck. There is a sweater which has cable knit increases at the arm, and I had a little, not really, I don't know, there have been a couple of I feel like the J. Crew roll neck is all the rage. It's really come back like hard this year, and I submitted my patterns in April of 2025. So like this was being, you know, if you planned it for a while, and then I saw a few big designers release their roll neck raglans in the last like 3 weeks, and I was like, oh no, everyone's gonna scratch the itch before the book comes out. But I went with quite a bold raglan shaping. The raglan shaping is done with cable increases, which are quite like chunky and quite statement. And I'm so glad I did. A part of me thought like, oh, should I go more simple? And I'm glad I did not, because I think I've seen that sweater like 4 times in the last 3 weeks. So I'm glad it's a little bit more out there. It means it's like a little less, I want to say basic, and I mean basic as a compliment. Like it's not quite as like super chic and simple. Basic could sound like I'm being negative about it. Like I love the ones I've seen. But it's got a little bit more going on, so it's not quite as like plain chic. It's a little bit more different. I really want a red one. Now I'm knitting red sweaters faster than I can wear red sweaters at the moment, but I have yarn. My cardigan sample of this was going to be in pure Gynt, and I could not get my 21 stitch gauge with it. I could not. I tried to swatch with a 2.75mm needle on Aran weight yarn. You can imagine how painful that experience was. I still didn't get gauge. So I'm hoping I can get gauge. I have 2 samples of that one, so if I end up knitting it ever so slightly off gauge, I don't mind too much. But again, it's a raglan top down. I've told myself with the book patterns, I could only be working on 1 book second sample at a time. So like I have to finish the Crinnan, then I can cast on this one, which is called Morag. and then I can cast on, there are 4 in total, and I know the priority order. This is the priority order. So first is Crinnan, and then is this red one, which is silly because I have 2 of them already, but I want the red sweater. The third book sample then is also a drop shoulder. It's called Corryvreckan, and it has it's got stripes, and the stripes have short row shaping, so it almost looks like a chevron, but not in a millennial way, on the arm. So the seam is like right along the arm edge, and the stripes all match along the seam. It's a really fun construction, and I really want to make another one, and I want to use Sandnesgarn Atlas again. I have the colours. I'm going to be using blue and chocolate brown. It's already downstairs. I already swatched, so it's ready to go. I say downstairs. Downstairs is where all my active whips are kept. It's not really an active whip, but it is downstairs with my active whips. And the original pattern has a turtleneck because I thought it would be nice to show some variation in neckline. That like there's some low or some high. I think my second sample will just have a regular crew neck because it's what I find myself reaching for the most often. And then my fourth and final book knit is like an all over cable knit sweater. It's called the Dunbar. I wore it for the first time to my cable knit class last week because I felt like I had to wear cables to teach cables. And oh, I love it. It has a big fisherman's cable down the middle, and it's got like braids. It's drop shoulder again. I'm making it sound like there's a lot of drop shoulders. I think there are 7 sweaters and there are 4 of them are drop shoulder. So like I guess ever so, is that right? 4 drop, 2 raglan, 1 set-in. Yeah, I guess so. And so yeah, but yeah, I'm also obsessed with that one. So that is my last one, and also it's going to be a lot of work. I feel like cables just take me longer, so I'm happy for that to be like maybe the project I'm working on when the book releases. Although I did buy the yarn for it today. I bought, not today, the yarn got delivered today. I bought Knitting for Olive heavy merino in pomegranate. I really was trying to push the boat out in a different colour. I tried not to use red, okay, but I just kept coming back to it. So I might try it with the mohair. I think I'll get, the original pattern was knit in Cascade 220 in, I think it's called Vintage Heather. It's like a beautiful like heathered beige colour. Very like worn, like it looks a little patinaed, and that's what I wanted for the book. So I got the mohair to go with it, but I'm not sure the mohair, I don't know if I need it, so I just watch for that first. But that feels like a long time away. That feels like a November project. Which is fine. So 4 book knits. Very excited for all of them. Like want to knit them right now, but also trying to like be patient with myself and prioritise. Like none of those need to be knit. They are not critical. So there we go. Okay, category 3. 4 things I want to cast on that like might become designs. If they're counting designs, these are like my January, February 2027 early designs, because everything for the rest of this year is already planned out. So number 1 is a boucle vest and jacket. Boucle vest has haunted me for years, and I finally decided what I wanted to look like, and I want a jacket modification too, and I have swatched for this. I swatched for it in Boucle, Isager, Boucle and Twinney or Spinny or one of their 4-plies. I want to have a high collar, a double knit button band, and I want an option for sleeves. But I'm in the place right now where like I am not burning for this knit, and I need to kind of let it sit for a bit. Like, do I really want it? I'm not sure. And I think right now I really want to be like casting on because I'm desperate to knit something, not just casting on because like it's a fun idea to try. So right now I'm just not putting too much stock into that one. I've swatched, I know my gauge. I did some very rough numbers so that I could cast on and get started, but I'm trying to not get too excited about it. It's also definitely not boucle vest season just yet, but like it probably will be pretty soon here in Scotland. It's like 17 degrees and rainy all week coming. I know the sun is now glaring in, but it's not going to stay that way. So like it's not too far, but not quite there yet. So boucle vest. But also, are we over the boucle vests? Have they kind of been and gone? I don't think so. I think I'm still ready for a boucle vest. The second thing is a Colourwork cardigan, which again sounds super boring, but I really want a Colourwork cardigan. I want to steek a Colourwork cardigan. Yoke Colourwork, again, kind of festive vibes. Quite traditional. I remember I made the Maja cardigan. I put a picture of that here. I made it so long ago. I made 2 of them. I made a cardigan and a sweater version, and I made them in Let Lopey, and I can't wear Let Lopey, so I've given them both away. at this point. I don't own either of those. I think they're both went to the same friend Audrey. And I loved it, and there's like a little bit of festiveness about it and a little bit of just like cozy classic Christmas. My downside is I have no idea what I want that colourwork to look like, so it's just bubbling away in there. I find sometimes with ideas I like it best when I have a vague concept and I don't really have to actively think about it, but it's just going to bubble away in my head until it either bubbles off and disappears into the abyss, never to be seen again, or it bubbles so aggressively that I have to pay attention to it and then I cast it on. And so that's how I'm feeling about the Colourwork cardigan. Round yoke, but probably with some raglan shaping. Yoke only colourwork, but maybe a little detail on the sleeves and the body. Steeped. Probably like an 18 stitch gauge. I'm really enjoying 18 stitch gauge this year. Or maybe 20 stitch gauge is probably a bit more versatile. Okay, my last two projects that I'm casting on are definite. They are absolutely happening. It's a when and not an if. And I have the yarn for both of them. The first one is a cable knit sweater, and that is, I want to make a drop shouldered version of my Dornie. I'll put a picture of it here. This is one of my first ever patterns. Not quite. My fourth pattern maybe? It is a raglan with big chunky cables. I really like it because it's all the same. It's all 6 stitch cables. All the cables are the same, like some twist one way, other way, but it's the same type of cable. And it looks like an all over cabled sweater, but there's actually some ribbing too. So there's not that much cabling happening, even though it's an all over cable knit sweater. And I really want to make a drop shouldered version. I have no idea if this will become a like, I'm toying with the idea of adding it to the original pattern, but I don't want to confuse things, and I wonder if that might be a little confusing. I definitely want to review the old pattern. I think a big goal for me in like the first quarter of next year is going to be looking like doing a deep dive on some of my older patterns, like really going through all the Ravelry project pages, making lists of all the feedback, implementing that, and then like updating the branding as well, because our branding has changed in the last couple of years. So I'd love to do that. I guess there was a world where I would have had it done by my birthday sale, because that tends to be when a lot of patterns go out, but at the same time, like, if there's a problem that's so bad people can't knit the pattern, like if someone's blocked, I always update it. These are just like improve knitability, clarify some things, give some extra options, tidy up. Like also my writing style has changed, so like bring it into line with my current writing style. And so I'd love to do that with Dornie anyway, but I'd also really love to make a drop shouldered version for myself. I have West Yorkshire Spinners DK, BFL DK and mohair. And it's funny because the pictures for that, Yenny, who has modelled for me in lots of photos, but she modelled Dornie. She stayed up until like silly o'clock, like 4 AM the night before the photos, finishing that knit, which is wild to me. And I fell so in love with her pattern, with her sample, and I obsessed with what did you knit it in? BFL, West Yorkshire Spinners BFL and mohair. So when I knew I was going to make another version of the pattern in with a different construction, I was like, I have to use that yarn because I was obsessed with it. It's in white, and I feel like I'm always on the hunt for the perfect white cable knit, and I'm going to say I've still not worked it out. I still don't have my perfect cable knit sweater, so maybe that will be it, and if not, I will continue the hunt. And that is exciting. And last weekend I charted it all out, or charted the back, so I'm ready to start on that one. I keep telling myself that like that will be my reward for something big. I thought about maybe casting it on tonight because I went to the dentist this morning and I don't like the dentist. But adults go to the dentist and I'm an adult, so I went to the dentist, and then I launched a pattern today. So part of me is like, I should do that, but also I think I might just enjoy knitting on this evening, and that's actually something that should get done. And I think if I cast that on, I'll just feel more stressed tomorrow, even if I'll enjoy it tonight. So probably I will not cast that one tonight. And also I just have to wind up the yarn for it, and currently my yarn winder is somewhere in the chaos mess behind the camera. It's fine. But I'm excited for that one, and whenever that will happen. Again, there's no deadline, so I can just take my time with it. But I cannot underestimate how much I want to cast on cables right now, and how much that class last week, just like, this might be the longest I've gone since I started knitting that I've not knit cables. I've not knit cables since April, and it's now August. It's like 3 months of no cables. I don't think it's ever happened before. Actually, that is true. I was like, that's not true. That is true, because my last cables were for the book, and I finished the book patterns in time for the photos at the end of April, so they were all finished. Makes me sad. I love cables. I think it's my favourite thing to knit. But I'll try and get through some other things first. And then last but not least is my pièce de résistance. This is a project that I have no intention of publishing, doing anything with. At best, I will write it up as a Ravelry project page. This is a pattern. This is a vintage J. Crew sweater. I've had this saved on Pinterest for literal years. I think possibly before I could knit, or my very early stages of knitting, I've saved this sweater. I'm obsessed with it. The reason I've not cast this on is this is going to be a nightmare. It's either going to be intarsia or it's going to be lots of little fiddly little strips that you then sew together. I've decided it's going to be fiddly little strips. At least I've decided that so far. There's a possibility that I'm going to obviously swatch it, and I might decide that after swatching it that that's not feasible, and that I do in fact need to do it in tarsia, which I don't really want to do because that's a lot of bobbins. But that's my plan. I have the yarn. And I've not opened the bag of yarn because I don't want to be disappointed. I don't want to think about it. So the bag is a sealed bag of yarn. I ordered Cascade 220, and I pulled up Procreate. I took this photo. I pulled up Procreate on my iPad, and then I colour matched all the squares. So like I coloured in every square to make sure I had all the squares, and then I colour matched all the squares that I pulled with Cascade 220. I picked that one because I love Cascade, and two because it has a really big colour collection. And some of the colours were solids and some were heathered, and Cascade offers that. So I have all the yarn. This is going to be like my fun cast on. I have this kind of rule for myself that if we ever go on like little holidays, we don't tend, the last couple of years we've not taken we took a big holiday 2 years ago because we went to New Zealand and Australia, and then this year's big holiday was that we brought the puppy home, and that's when my partner Sam took his holiday for work for the puppy. So we otherwise just like split our holiday days up and try and go away for like a long weekend and go to some hiking and go to like a cottage somewhere in the north of Scotland. That is our vibe. And I always take a new cast on. Even if I have 100 whips, I will take a new cast on for that weekend. And so I feel like that might be, like that is one that I'm excited for. We are going away for Christmas this year. Sam's parents are coming over from New Zealand, and so we're going to go away for Christmas. And part of me thinks that this would be the perfect project for that, but December is so far away and I don't know if I can last until then. Also, it is something ridiculous, like it's so much yarn. I think it's like 12 skeins of Cascade, and I'd have to wind them all up before we went. So maybe logistically it's not the right time to do it, but I think if ever there's a time to tackle a project like that, it's then. And my plan is sew them and like make the strips and then sew the strips together. But I have to swatch that before it's going to happen. But I'm very excited. I feel like that's going to be one of those projects that like it's a pure vanity project, and it's purely for like recharging my creative juices, and I'm very excited. My last two then are, I have some yarn. I wanted to dig it out for this project, but for this video, but I have no idea where it is. So I will see if I can put a video of it here. It is a fingering weight and a mohair from Zakami, which is a local to me dyer based here in Edinburgh. And it is this gorgeous, I don't know, it's not a burgundy, it's like a cranberry red. Oh look, Rebecca's making another red sweater. And I have no idea what I'm going to make with it. So I'm open to suggestions. I think I want something pretty plain. I'm kind of tempted by the Cove sweater by Sophie, the Knit Pearl Girl. I was going to say I never made her pattern. That's not true. I tested for her back in the day. And then one of my all-time most worn sweaters is actually sitting right here inside out, because that's when I wore it like 2 days ago. Is this heap of black fluff, which is the Simper sweater, which is a raglan of hers, which I made, and I wear that is because it's my only black sweater and black was and everything, but I wear that a lot as well. And I'm thinking of maybe her Cove, but I'm also open to other ideas. I think it's got to be something pretty plain. I want it to be something I reach for a lot, and so I do find that like a stockinette is the answer in that situation. I'd like to cast that on at some point, but as you can tell, my needles are already kind of busy. In my head, oh hiccups, in my head I'm working on all of these before the end of the year. It is currently August, we're in the 8th month, right? We have got 4.5 months left, and I am intending to knit in 4.5 months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 sweaters. That feels like a lot. That's like 3 a month. My very last but not least, I'm forgetting I've got one more on my list because I'm checking my phone. I bought some grey yarn to make a cardigan, a grey cardigan, because I keep seeing cute outfits like this on Pinterest and I want a grey cardigan that goes with it and I don't have one. I could make the Solace, which is my own pattern. That's probably what I'm going to do because it fits and I use the exact yarn. I bought the same yarn I've already made this cardigan in. It's Gepard Wulia. I made a red one. I wear it a lot. It's exactly the same yarn, exactly the same pattern, and I'm thinking like maybe that's the pattern that I need to make. But I feel like that I'm going to be honest with myself and with you and say, I say this wearing a grey knit, knitting a grey knit. I don't know if I'm going to be excited to knit a grey knit cardigan, like a plain stockinette grey cardigan. But maybe if I see this Pinterest enough and this picture enough on Pinterest, I will be motivated to make it a priority. So there we go. That is what I'm planning. Those are my Aug-Tober plans. I think they're pretty fixed. Like, I know people make these plans and then like change their mind a lot. I think more things will be added to the list. And like there are some, like I think the Boucle vest, like that's not quite a firm yes yet. But I think a lot of them are definitely going to be knit. I just don't know how much extra stuff's going to get added. And the problem is that like the inspiration for the season comes in the season that you're in, right? So like right now my inspiration is kind of like stuff that's lingering from last year, like some stuff that's still kind of sticking around, but like we're not so firmly in the cold months that I'm being inspired by the current weather. And so all that's going to happen is the more time we spend in the cold months, the more inspiration I'm going to get and the more I'm going to want to cast on. But that's okay. I'm very lucky to be so inspired and to want to make these many things and to feel this rewarded by my knitting. So there we go. I'd love to know what you're planning to make, but nothing too exciting because I don't have space for more inspiration. I'd love to know if you think any of these are terrible ideas and if you think I'm going to regret them. And yeah, stick around because I guess over the next couple of months I'll hopefully be making some of them and showing them to you. That is all from me. I am now going to go at 6 o'clock on a Friday. It's later than that. 11 minutes past 6 on a Friday. I'm going to go. I'm going to edit this video. Maybe it'll be tomorrow morning. I'm going to go sit with my brand new ball of yarn, my raglan project, enjoy some dinner, maybe have a glass of wine, and enjoy my weekend. I hope you have a nice weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye!